We continue to look through 1 Corinthians. And we move to chapter 7, 1 through 11. And we have to back up to chapter 6 because there's some biblical truths that are laid out there that really set the stage for where Paul is going in chapter 7. Chapter 6, verse 16, it finishes by saying, "For as it is written, the two will become one flesh." See, Paul goes back to the creation of time. God creating male and female, and as their partnership, they become, Adam and Eve, become the first marriage. And it says the two will become one flesh. See, God has joined together male and female in this bond of marriage. And there's a sexual union that takes place, and the two become one flesh, and we can't ever tear that apart. So Paul lays out, reminds us of what's going on. And that's where he goes to fleeing sexual immorality. So he's making clear that everything outside of those two becoming one flesh, everything outside of a male and a female committed to life in a union of marriage, any sex outside of that is not okay. And then he lays out an awesome truth. It says, or do you not know that your body is a temple of the Holy Spirit within you, whom you have from God? You are not your own, for you were bought with a price. So glorify God in your body. So after Jesus left, he said, "One greater than me is coming." And at Pentecost, we see how the Holy Spirit comes onto the people, and the Holy Spirit begins to live inside of them and act inside of them, and they are doing miraculous things, the apostles, the disciples, because of the Holy Spirit living and active in them. And it says that our bodies are a temple of the Holy Spirit. So, as we get to chapter 7, there's some principles for marriage that are laid out. And it starts out by saying there's a letter that the Corinthian churches actually wrote to Paul. And we don't know exactly what was in that letter, but it says, now concerning the matters which you wrote. So he's acknowledging that they have questions here. They wrote, "It is good for a man not to have sexual relations with a woman." And Paul is needing to clarify this. You see, the Corinthian church thought maybe it was more holy. I'm holier than you are if I abstain from my partner, if staying from my husband or my wife. And Paul's making it clear that the two have become one flesh. So at no point should a husband or a wife, as it gets laid out in here, at no point should they abstain from one another. Should they hold back? And he goes on to here to say that the wife does not have authority over her own body, but the husband does. Likewise, the husband does not have authority over his own body, but the wife does. Do not deprive one another. He's making it clear that the two that have become one flesh, God's gift, his design, was for this to continue to happen, for sexual relations, to sex to keep happening throughout your marriage. He gives one instance there, and it said, "Except perhaps by agreement for a limited time, so that you may devote yourselves to prayer. But then come together again, so that Satan may not tempt you because of your lack of self-control." He's making it clear that the only reason why this would make sense is if for a time you need to really work through some things with God. I think we see it when we go on trips or we have some kind of a big experience. God may do some amazing things in our life, and we have some mountaintop experiences. And the challenge with that is he's saying clearly, as soon as you come down from that experience that you are, you need to join back together, because where does Satan attack the most? He attacks, it seems like, when we're coming down out of those amazing experiences. So, he lays out. He starts to lay out in chapter 7, and we'll start seeing this as it continues. What do we do with the unmarried people? What do we do with the widows? Do they marry? Do they stay as they are? And he's laying out from the sexual realm that if you can't control yourself, it's much better off if you are married.